when we think about the monsters that terrify us, we usually, picture them lurking in the dark, right?
Absolutely. Just waiting for us to stumble into their path.
Exactly. It's this very physical, reactive threat. Like, we cross a boundary into the haunted house, and bam, the monster attacks. It's simple.
Right. Very straightforward cause and effect.
But what if the dark isn't where they actually draw their power? What if the monsters that haunt us are actually empowered or even given physical shape by our own collective rumor?
Ooh, that is a chilling thought.
Right, like by the anxious whispers we share when we think no one is listening. Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are on a mission today to extract the hidden lore from this really fascinating breakdown of the supernatural thriller, The Nun
We
II.
are going way beyond a simple spooky recap here.
Oh, far beyond it. I'm so glad you're here with me to break this down.
Thanks. What makes this source material so compelling to dig into today is how it fundamentally shifts gears. I mean, it takes a standard horror narrative and just morphs it into this sprawling supernatural detective story.
Yeah, it really does.
We are looking at a historical mystery spanning across 1950s Europe. We'll be exploring ancient folklore, the literal mechanics of how a haunting functions, and the deeply complex intersection of faith, trauma, and fear.
It's just so rich. So we start our journey in 1956 in Tarascon, France. The Cinehall breakdown sets the scene beautifully and, well, terrifyingly.
Right.
We're in a church.
A classic horror setting.
Totally. An altar boy named Jacques is carrying a jar of holy wine for Father Noire. It's just standard duty, right? But then Jacques kicks a rolling ball.
Which is such a classic innocent moment.
Yeah, except the ball rolls right back to him entirely on its own, and then the jar of holy wine shatters. The atmosphere just turns incredibly heavy.
You just feel the tension building.
Father Noire tries to stand his ground. He's warning whatever is there that this is God's house. Then, the incense smoke starts swirling, and it physically forms the terrifying visage of the demon nun, Valak.
The visual of that in the breakdown is just incredible.
It is. And in a flash, Father Noire is lifted up, his rosary falls, and he is burned alive right in front of Jacques. I mean, it is a brutal, chaotic opening. It completely sets the stage.
It really does. And crucially, it's not an isolated incident. This is where the investigative aspect really kicks in.
Right, the Vatican gets involved.
Exactly. The Vatican gets involved because they've noticed a horrifying geographic pattern. Bishop lays it out really clearly for us. We have a 90-year-old nun in a small village in Hungary who shot herself.
God, that's awful.
Then an Austrian priest who slit his own throat at Christmas, an Italian novitiate who hanged herself, and now Father Noire burning in France.
Okay, let's unpack this, because looking at those locations on a map, Hungary, Austria, Italy, France, it's a direct line moving west across Europe.
A very deliberate path.
Right, but wait, hold on. If Valak is this phenomenally powerful demonic entity, like a literal fallen angel, why is it doing a boots-on-the-ground detective hunt across Europe?
That is the million-dollar question.
Shouldn't a being of that magnitude just inherently know where its target is? Or, at least be able to manifest there instantly? Why is this demon taking a very specific road trip instead of just teleporting to its goal?
Well, this raises an important point about the limitations of demonic entities in this specific lore. It's something the source dives into.
Oh, really? Break that down for me.
So, usually supernatural entities in folklore are tied to a specific location, right? Like a haunted house or a cursed forest. They're bound by spiritual laws. Valak is a fallen angel, meaning when it was cast out of heaven, it was stripped of divine attributes like omnipresence.
Oh, so it literally can't just be everywhere at once anymore.
Exactly. To navigate the physical world and cross holy thresholds without being instantly repelled, it needs a vessel.
Ah, which is why it's using Maurice. For those who might not remember, Maurice is the groundskeeper from the previous ordeal who was secretly possessed at the end.
Yes, Frenchie.
Right, Frenchie.
Yeah.
So rather than just wearing Maurice like a generic meat suit, Valak is functioning more like a neurological parasite.
That's a great way to put it.
It's hijacking Maurice's nervous system to bypass divine security protocols. It's walking right through the front door of churches and holy spaces where a pure demonic manifestation would, trigger the supernatural alarm system.
Exactly right. It's a parasite using the host's innate humanity as camouflage. And to figure out why Valak is hunting, the Vatican forces our reluctant hero, Sister Irene, back into action.
Right, because her partner from the first investigation passed away.
Yeah, Father Burke. So Irene is living quietly in a monastery, keeping her past survival a secret. But she's joined on this new mission by Sister Debra, and Debra's background provides a really crucial philosophical anchor for the entire story.
Debra is such a fascinating character. She is actively, painfully struggling with her faith. We learn from the source that Debra grew up in deep poverty.
And experienced some horrific trauma.
Yeah. When she was just 4 years old, racist attackers burned down her family's home simply because they were a minority. That is just a profound, earth-shattering trauma for a child.
And it shapes her entire worldview. Debra is surrounded by people of profound faith, but she cannot logically bridge the gap herself. She tells Irene she actually wants to believe in miracles.
But she just can't get there.
Right. She looks at Catholic doctrines, specifically the idea of transubstantiation, which is the belief that communion wine literally, physically becomes the blood of Jesus Christ, and she just finds it completely illogical.
Right, it's like she's a scientist looking at a magic trick. She sees the effect, she sees people weeping at the altar, but her traumatized brain demands to see the trapdoor. She needs empirical proof.
Which is a terrifying mindset to have when you're hunting a demon that preys on doubt.
Exactly. So Irene and Debra head to Tarascon to investigate the charred church. Irene experiences a vision there. She sees the boy, Jacques, holding Father Nore's rosary.
And that clue is huge.
It is. It eventually leads them to look into a very specific painting of a woman named St. Lucy.
And this is where the Sinahal source provides some incredible historical context that really enriches the narrative. St. Lucy wasn't just a random religious figure.
Right, she was a real person, wasn't she?
She was a real 4th century martyr from Syracuse, Sicily. She lived during the Diocletianic persecution, which is one of the most severe purges of Christians in the Roman Empire.
Wow, okay.
She was fiercely devoted to God, so much so that she rejected a marriage proposal from a very wealthy, powerful Roman suitor.
Which, in ancient Rome, wasn't just a romantic rejection, right? It was viewed as civil disobedience, almost treasonous, because she was rejecting the Roman social order for this new, outlawed faith.
Precisely. In retaliation, the Roman authorities tried to force her into a brothel to defile her. But the historical lore and the in-universe lore of the film says they physically couldn't move her.
Wait, like she was glued to the floor?
Literally rooted to the ground by divine intervention. The guards pushed, they even tied her to a team of oxen, but she wouldn't budge.
That is wild.
When that failed, they built a fire around her to burn her alive. But the flames miraculously bent away from her. The fire wouldn't touch her skin.
Wow.
Finally, she was executed with a sword, but only after her eyes were violently gouged out. And because of this, she became known as the patron saint of the blind, a symbol of divine light.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because the deep dive suddenly shifts genres completely. We go from a gothic horror story to something resembling an occult Indiana Jones adventure.
It totally does. The artifact hunt begins.
But I have to ask you, how does a 4th century martyr from Sicily connect to a demon nun terrorizing priests in the 1950s? And why her eyes? Out of all the holy relics in the world, what is the theological obsession with her eyeballs?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture of Catholic mysticism and ancient philosophy, the eyes are never just biological organs. They are the literal windows to the soul.
Right, the metaphorical weight is huge.
Exactly. In the context of a martyr who saw the truth of God so clearly that she defied an empire, her eyes represent divine sight. They are a reservoir of pure, concentrated, holy energy.
Ah, okay.
Irene consults Father Dante at the Catholic Archives, and he drops the massive revelation that ties this all together.
Yeah.
Victims across Europe. The nun in Hungary, the priest in Austria, Father Noire.
Yeah, the map.
They weren't random targets of opportunity. They were all direct descendants of St. Lucy.
And the proof is in the rosary. That rosary Jacques was holding had a specific ancient family crest carved into it, the crest of St. Lucy's bloodline. Every single victim had one. So Valak is methodically interrogating and exterminating this family tree.
Right, because Valak, as a fallen angel, lost its divine grace when it was cast out of heaven. It is hollow.
It's empty.
Yes, and it is hunting down St. Lucy's bloodline to find where her descendants hid this ancient relic, the literal eyes of St. Lucy. Valak believes that by consuming this relic, it can absorb that concentrated divine energy and restore its lost angelic status.
So Valak is using Maurice as a camouflage parasite to travel across Europe, torturing these descendants for information, which brings us to the location where all these threads collide. St. Mary's, a girls' boarding school in Aix-en-Provence, France.
A very creepy setting.
Super creepy. And we should assume everyone listening knows Maurice ended up here after the first ordeal, working as a beloved handyman.
Right. And it's a location with its own deeply layered history. The building wasn't originally built as a school. It used to be a winery, and before that, an ancient monastery.
Lots of history there.
A ton. The physical space holds the architectural residue of extreme religious devotion, but also profound recent trauma. This is the exact place where the relic, the Eyes of St. Lucy, was last hidden by a priest.
It's like the perfect storm of supernatural potential. Maurice is universally loved at the school, especially by a young girl named Sophie and her mother, Kate, who teaches there. Maurice thinks he's just experiencing blackout episodes.
He's completely unaware that a demon is using his hands at night.
Exactly. But the school itself is an emotional powder keg. It's run by the very strict Madame Laurent. We find out her son Cedric died tragically in a bombing in the school's chapel during the war. That chapel has been abandoned and boarded up ever since.
And that abandoned chapel becomes a focal point for the students' anxieties, which leads to one of the most terrifying and, frankly, conceptually brilliant sequences in the film, which the Cine Hall narrator highlights perfectly.
Oh, the goat demon scene. This absolutely blew my mind. So the mean girls at the school decide to play a cruel prank on young Sophie. They trick her into playing a game called Defy the Devil.
Kids can be so cruel.
Seriously. They force her into the locked, abandoned chapel and make her stare at a stained glass mosaic of a goat. The urban legend among the students is that if the sunlight hits the goat's eye at just the right angle, the devil will appear.
And of course, things go wrong.
Right, because this is a horror setting. The goat's eye glows red, the glass shatters, and a horrific, physical goat-like creature actually manifests in the room and starts hunting them through the school.
What's fascinating here is the underlying mechanics of why that goat demon appears. It isn't just a random jump scare.
Not at all.
The Cine Hall narrator brings in this brilliant cultural synthesis. They quote a Bengali proverb. The tiger in the forest doesn't eat you. The tiger in your mind does.
The tiger in your mind. I want to just sit with that for a second. Think about the rumors you heard in your own high school or middle school.
Oh, there are always rumors.
The urban legends about the locked basement or the woods behind the football field. Now, I want you to imagine if the sheer panic of those teenage whispers could literally alter the physical room you're standing in.
It completely changes how we view the architecture of haunting. The narrator argues that Valak didn't just summon a goat out of thin air using demonic magic.
So where did it come from?
Well, the abandoned chapel, the tragic, violent death of Madame Laurent's son from the bombing these events, created a literal vacuum of trauma in that space. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so the students unconsciously filled it with rumors, whispers, and extreme paranoia about a devil in the mosaic.
It's mass hysteria weaponized.
Precisely. It strongly parallels the concept of a tulpa in Tibetan mysticism. Yeah, a physical thought form created entirely by intense, concentrated spiritual or mental energy. Over the years, the collective fear of those girls grew so dense that it released accursed spiritual energy into the environment. Valak didn't create the goat. Valak simply tapped into that existing reservoir of human terror and weaponized it. The girls literally imagined the monster into existence, and Valak just gave it teeth.
That is such a chilling, deeply psychological concept. We are quite literally manufacturing the tools of our own destruction through our anxiety. So while this manifestation of collective trauma, the goat demon, is running loose and terrorizing the students, the main plot violently converges.
It all comes together.
Irene and Dabrov finally arrive at the boarding school. And it is perfect timing because Valak has realized the relic is definitely here, so it no longer needs to hide. It drops the camouflage and fully takes over Maurice's body.
The climax of the film becomes this frantic, dual-track chase sequence. You have the goat demon stalking the students through the dormitories, representing the uncontrollable spread of fear.
Yeah, that thing was terrifying.
And simultaneously, you have a fully possessed Maurice hunting down young Sophie. He knows her deep knowledge of the school's hidden areas can lead him to where the Eyes of St. Lucy are stashed in the bell tower.
It is absolute chaos. Irene and Debra are trying to physically restrain Maurice, but he has superhuman demonic strength. Sophie actually manages to navigate the crumbling bell tower and finds the hidden relic, but Maurice corners her.
It's such a tense scene.
The struggle is so violent it causes the ancient wooden structure of the tower to completely collapse. It's this massive, destructive set piece. Sophie barely survives by clinging to some scaffolding, but she drops the relic into the rubble.
And Sister Irene is the one who recovers it. She finally holds the Eyes of St. Lucy. But Valak, manifesting in its pure, terrifying demon nun form, drops into the courtyard with its full power.
Oh man, this part is wild.
It easily overpowers Irene, rips the holy relic from her hands, and then enacts horrific symbolic punishment. Valak telekinetically suspends Sister Irene high in the air and sets her on fire.
Just like Father Noire at the very beginning of the movie.
Exactly. But more importantly, if we look at the historical parallels, just like St. Lucy herself during the Diocletianic persecution.
So what does this all mean? We watch Irene, our main protagonist, get engulfed in flames in the courtyard. As a viewer, you think, well, that's it. She's burning alive. The demon won.
It certainly looks that way.
But then the fire just extinguishes. It doesn't burn her clothes. It doesn't scorch her skin. Irene survives the inferno completely unharmed.
It's a true miracle.
And in that moment of survival, as the smoke clears, her mind is flooded with a massive rapid-fire vision. She sees her mother, who we learned earlier was institutionalized because she had visions that the medical community dismissed as insanity.
Right.
She sees St. Lucy holding her ground against the Romans, and then, most shockingly for fans of the wider cinematic universe, she sees a flash of the famous demonologist, Lorraine Warren.
It's the ultimate narrative payoff that ties the entire franchise's lore together. The reason Irene didn't burn, the reason her mother was institutionalized for divine sight, the reason Valak has always been so obsessed with torturing her specifically, Sister Irene, her mother, and Lorraine Warren are all direct descendants of St. Lucy's bloodline.
That is so cool.
They share that exact same divine genetic memory. The Roman fire couldn't touch St. Lucy in the 4th century, and the demonic fire cannot touch her descendant in 1956. The holy energy within her naturally repels it.
It is such a massive fist pump moment. It perfectly explains why Irene has always been the anchor against this specific entity. But having a cool, fireproof bloodline isn't quite enough to kill a fallen angel who has just absorbed a holy relic.
No, you need something more.
And this is where Sister Debra's art comes to its beautiful, profound conclusion. Remember, Debra came on this trip desperately wanting to believe, but her childhood trauma made her view faith like a skeptical scientist.
Yes, she couldn't accept the illogical idea of transubstantiation wine turning into the blood of Christ.
Right, because when she was 4 years old, she watched her house burn down from a racist attack, and no miracle saved her family. Why would God magically change wine but let her home burn?
It's a completely understandable crisis of faith.
It is. But now, standing in the courtyard, she witnesses Sister Irene survive being engulfed in flames. It defies all physics. It defies all logic. It is the exact, undeniable miracle she was denied as a child.
That is the proof her traumatized brain needed. Her faith isn't just restored, it is ignited into an absolute certainty.
And they need that certainty because Irene and Debra are cornered by Valak in the oldest part of the school, the ancient cellar that used to be the monastery's winery.
The setting comes full circle.
It does. There are old, decaying barrels everywhere, and massive amounts of old wine are spilling all over the stone floor, completely soaking Valak's robes. Irene looks at Debra and tells her to believe, to really truly believe in the words they're about to say. They start praying the words of institution together.
And this isn't just magic wine beating a demon. Let's elevate this. Because of their absolute, unwavering faith in that moment, the spilled wine surrounding the demon physically transforms. It is the literal, physical manifestation of the exact Catholic doctrine Debra found illogical. It's the ultimate validation of transubstantiation.
Which is just incredible storytelling.
It is. In Catholic theology, the idea isn't that the wine merely represents Christ. It is the belief that the underlying substance fundamentally changes while the physical appearance remains the same. The wine on the floor literally becomes the holy blood of Christ.
Wow.
And that concentrated divine power, weaponized by Debra's sudden, undeniable belief, is too much for a hollow, fallen angel to withstand. Valak is engulfed by the holy substance, its physical form is dissolved, and the entity is violently banished back to hell.
And Maurice is freed. He collapses on the stones, but the demonic parasite is finally purged from his nervous system. The possession is completely broken. It is a massive, hard-fought victory.
It is. It wraps up the immediate physical threat beautifully. The Sin Hall source really emphasizes how the Nun II uses this terrifying, continent-spanning demonic scavenger hunt to tell a much deeper philosophical story. It's about the mechanics of overcoming profound personal trauma, as we see with Debra finally finding the miracle she needed. It's about the hidden, enduring lineage of faith, as we see with Irene discovering her connection to St. Lucy. But most importantly, it's about how belief itself, whether holy or horrific, shapes the physical reality we inhabit.
Right. Whether it's absolute belief in God altering the molecular structure of wine to forge a weapon, or the collective belief in a rumor turning a stained glass mosaic into a physical goat demon. Belief gives literal shape to the world around us.
Exactly. And the film, to its credit, doesn't let us off the hook entirely.
Oh, no, it does not.
While we get this touching scene at the end, Maurice planting tomato seeds in the sunlit garden with Sophie, getting a brief moment of peace and a happy ending, there's a crucial flash forward.
Right, I almost forgot about that part.
The source notes that the movie jumps 21 years into the future. We see Father Gordon making a frantic phone call to the Warrens, asking for their immediate help with an exorcism.
Meaning Maurice's peace didn't last.
No, it's a stark, chilling reminder that supernatural battles have long-lasting ripples. The entity may be defeated in this specific moment, but the broader war for human souls continues across generations.
It really makes you think about the things we give power to in our own lives. The Sinahal narrator's theory about the goat demon, that it was born entirely from the collective fear, the trauma vacuum, and the anxious rumors of those students, is a concept I honestly cannot shake.
It's powerful stuff.
It is. It leaves you with this provocative thought to mull over long after the credits roll. I want you to think about this. In your own life, in your own day-to-day routine, what monsters or anxieties are currently drawing their power entirely from the mental energy and the whispers you feed them?
That's the real horror story right there.
Exactly. If the tiger in your mind is the one that truly eats you, well, could simply recognizing that fact and actively changing the narrative completely strip those monsters of their power over you?
It's a profound question, and definitely one worth asking yourself the next time you feel the dark closing in.
Keep asking questions, keep diving deep into the lore, and we'll catch you next time.